Hey guys. So in our last video I said that I'll describe Tutor Austria in greater detail in order to give you a bit more of an insight how our startup journey really actually began. Just to quickly clarify before we start this video, I just wanted to mention that Tutor Austria is made up of 3 subdivisions: IB Tutor Vienna, Matura Tutor Vienna, and HECV Vienna. But we'll get into more detail later on in this video and in the next upcoming videos. So when I was planning this video, yes, believe it or not, I actually planned these videos, I quickly realized that there's a lot to tell and there's a lot I want to say and share with you guys. But in order to make it as interesting and most comprehensible as possible, it probably would be best to sort of like break it up in 3 separate divisions. This video is going to be based on how it all really started. The next video, we're going to sort of focus on what situation we're at right now. And then the third video of this sort of subsequence is going to be focusing on the Tutor Austria future. So the stuff that we have planned and the stuff we want to achieve and the stuff that are basically our visions, our goals for the future. So it all started last year when our civil service started in October. So basically, to give you a little bit of context, all Austrian male citizens between the ages of 17 and 51 are subject to mandatory civil or military service. Me being the extremely courageous and tough young man that I am, thought that military service wouldn't challenge me enough. I needed something rough, I needed something tough, something that would really grind my gears, something that would shape me as a human being. So I decided to work 6 months in a kindergarten and 3 months in an elderly home. Tough young man I was. I'm obviously kidding. I really don't want to talk down upon the amazing work employees of elderly homes or kindergartens do. To be honest, I was completely shocked by my misjudgment and the hard work that working there really was. So yeah, don't get me wrong there. To sum my 9-month civil service up in a sentence, I'd basically say that it was an absolute eye-opener. I mean, to paint you the picture more clearly, I had finally graduated, and I'd been on a 2-month partying holiday with various friends in various countries. We went interrailing, I was in Barcelona, partying with all my friends. I was filled with euphoric and totally energized emotions, ready to conquer the world, meet new people, do new things, and then you're thrown into the harsh reality and you're sort of introduced to your new chapter of life, which is going to be 9 months of doing work that you don't necessarily want to do. But like most things in life, you don't really take in the effect of the experiences that you were making at a certain time. I wasn't really feeling the positives I was gaining from the experiences that were coming towards me when that was sort of my reality. You only really comprehend them when you're taking out of that context, you're dealt with a new reality, dealt with a new surrounding, and then you can really think and ponder about, okay, this is what happened, this is what I learned, this is how I grew. And at the moment, you don't really think about it. But now later, looking back, I definitely do see the positives. Now let's get back to what we were actually talking about. We can talk about the civil service stuff in a different video if you guys are interested, but that's not the main topic of today's video. Thank God for me being the neurotic person that I am, I sort of semi-sensed in the months leading up to the civil service that I would have to find a distraction, and I would have to find a distraction fast. At the time, the plan was to just play football on the side, because I was playing semi-professionally, I was earning a little bit of money on the side, and I thought this would be great. Next to civil service, I'll just play football, and that will distract me. But I was wrong. I came back late, didn't do pre-season, and I was named a proud member of the bench. So I sort of slightly panicked, and I scavenged for stuff that I could look for that could really fill up my dopamine, fill up my confidence, and basically distract me from the reality that was sitting on the bench at my football club and doing civil service. So like most teenagers, I dabbed into dropshipping, I dabbed into day trading, but I didn't really find my feet. I sort of didn't feel passionate towards those 2 projects. I never really found the desire enough to be like, okay, this can be my distraction. It was for those reasons is that I was absolutely ecstatic when I got the call of a friend of mine called Emil Frey, when he asked me if I wanted to join him and give tutoring lessons. He knew that I didn't do too badly on my IB exams, and he sort of told me that he would want to use an Instagram page to sort of promote our services and get a word across current students so we could give them or offer them our tutoring services. He wanted to call the whole thing IB Tutor Vienna, And to be honest, it was like music in my ears. It was the call that I needed. It was the message that I needed. And I couldn't tell him, yes, let's go, I'm in. Faster enough. I think the phone call lasted 20 seconds. It was also through him that I met Conrad. So yeah, 3 friends, 1 project, 1 idea, known as IB Tutor Vienna. We didn't know that that would be the beginning seed that will allow the plantation of the plant that we know today as Tutor Austria. So the IB Tutor Vienna, there were many changes made very quickly. For example, the initial idea was that us 3 were to be the tutors, and that would be it. However, we quickly noticed that being a tutor isn't that easy. I mean, like, really not easy. Combining grade 12 syllabus with a grade 6 syllabus and throwing in a grade 8 in between, thinking of explanation strategies, teaching strategies, and this whilst having civil service and football training on the side, it wasn't possible. I couldn't do it. We then came up with the plan of keeping the central idea, meaning marketing our services and advertising our services on our Instagram page. However, the only small difference that it was only not going to be us doing the tutoring services. We wanted to expand the people of tutoring. We started with classmates, then we went on to friends, then we went on to classmates of friends and friends of classmates. Slowly but surely, the team started growing. We took some, we left some people out, we selected the finest, the cream of the crop. And today, our IB Tutor Vienna team is one of the strongest tutoring teams in Vienna, we believe. With the expansion of the team came the expansion of the customers. People started to know us, people started to trust us, and our followers started growing. We got more lessons, and lessons were coming in quickly. People wanted us, people wanted IB Tutor Vienna. We doubled our weekly average tutoring sessions within the space of 1 to 2 months. And all of this happened, all this growth really only happened by taking a step back, thinking, how can we optimize the situation? So naturally, our first step was to try and expand and sort of look for more customers. So that basically was our move for Matura Tutor Vienna. Think about how we could actually do this, how we could sort of copy paste the thing that we had done with IB Tutor Vienna so far and bring it over to Matura Tutor Vienna, the Austrian high school diploma. Logically, with an expansion comes an expansion of work. We knew that there was going to be more stuff to do, more people to worry about, more customers to worry about, and it'd be too much. Conrad and I needed help, so we started looking. We needed someone who was flexible, preferably in our age group, just as passionate as the project about us, and cheap. Very cheap. All of this carried on, and we didn't find the right person. Until one day, it was actually, I can remember, the New Year's Eve party at my flat. A long-term friend of mine who I went to school with for 6 years, named Gregor, came up to me and he said, I heard that you guys were sort of looking for someone to help with your expansion thing. Just to let you know, I'd really be down to do that. Got this light bulb moment when like, ding, and I was annoyed that I hadn't thought of Gregor earlier. I mean, Gregor had always been the teacher's sweetheart. He was like the perfect candidate. He was organized, he was cheap, and he was just as passionate as we were.
I think this would be a good point to go and meet Gregor. Ich komme jetzt, okay?
Ja.
Passt. Ciao.
Nein, das ist weird.
When you see all the when you see all the when you see all the
Yo.
Alright guys, so I'm gonna ask Gregor a couple of questions to give you a bit like of an insight who he is, why he decided to join Tutor Austria. Can you remember when our first talk about this whole thing was?
Yeah, I think it was a New Year's party.
Yeah, it was that New Year's party, as I said in the video, at my place. We were probably both completely drunk and philosophizing about some ideas that we thought would never happen, but for some reason, this drunk idea turned into reality. All right, so I wanted to ask you, why did you want to join Conrad and I and work on Matura Tutor Vienna? What motivated you?
That's a good question. I think, like you told me on the party, you told me about IB Tutor Vienna, and I really like the concept. And I was also thinking of giving tutoring lessons myself. So I thought, why not help and develop a platform? And yeah,
Could you give a bit of an insight what your job is at Tutor Austria at the moment?
head of all the operating stuff. So at the moment, I schedule lessons from like students with tutors, and yeah, look after so everything happens. And yeah.
Good answer. All right, short but sweet. It was good. See you, my man.
When you see all the
All right, back to editing.
Just like we had done with IB Tutor Vienna 3 months before, we did the same with Matura Tutor Vienna. Basically a copy-paste sort of act. So slowly and surely, this IB Tutor / Matura Tutor Vienna thing was doing really, really well. We had constantly returning customers. We had a solid average monthly income. We could pay our tutors really, really well. And there was even a profit on the side that we could use to invest in stuff like marketing. Stuff were going good, but it wasn't enough yet. We felt like there was a piece missing. It was becoming too comfortable, sort of productivity went down a bit. We wanted something more, we needed a new challenge again, and we needed it fast. It was around this time that Coronel and I were sort of finishing up our UCAS application process. For those who don't know, the UCAS application process is basically the application process that you have to go through if you want to study in the UK. Now, it was also during this time that we got loads and loads of requests and messages from our current customers that they needed help with this application process. Now, it was a bit of a tricky situation. I mean, we wanted to help, but there wasn't much help that we could offer them because we ourselves hadn't had a lot of experience so far. I mean, we'd only just applied, just like our customers. So we knew that there was a request and there was a demand for services. So we brainstormed, just like we had done earlier, planned, went through lots and lots of meeting sessions and sort of thought, how could we do this? Sort of creating like a consulting agency which will help you throughout this application process and help you get into the university of your dreams. And it was the same way when we looked for Gregor. We went on to friends, and we went on to classmates, then we went on to friends of classmates, and classmates of friends, until we found Leopold. Leopold, like Gregor, is a very, very much so a close friend of mine. And he broadened our spectrum. He basically told us, why are you only focusing on the UCAS application process? There's loads of application processes for universities that you have to go through on a global scale. And basically with that idea, we were like, oh yeah. And so with this whole HEC Vienna thing, it became a long-term sort of goal. I mean, because we added it to the portfolio of Tutor Austria at a very late stage, we didn't really get a lot of customers. It's more of a future goal thing, but it's a very, very interesting and a very, very sort of different approach of services that we had been confronted with so far. So I think this is a good spot to leave it out. I mean, now we're at the point where it explains that Tutor Austria is made up of the 3 subdivisions, made out of Matura Tutor Vienna, IB Tutor Vienna, and HECV Vienna. Next video, we'll get into the situation we're in right now. Basically, what the things are looking like. Maybe we'll get into the structures a bit more, getting to meet the certain people that are at Tutor Austria right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up, leave it a like, and subscribe. And yeah, I think that's about it. I hope it gave you more of an insight what it's like at Tutor Austria and how the whole thing really, really started. And yeah, catch you later. See you next week.